Now able to preserve members' funds so that they can have a meaningful income when they reach the age of 55. This is a positive outcome of the FNPF reform. Remember, any withdrawal decreases your balance and lessens the chances for you to apply for further withdrawals, leaving you with less funds for your retirement. The FNPF, securing your future. Why is your FNPF savings important? Your FNPF savings is important to your financial security in retirement. Once you start earning an income, a portion of it is set aside for your retirement savings. As the custodian of your funds, the FNPF has to ensure that your savings are not only kept for your retirement, but that it earns interest while you're still working, helping grow your savings for your future. Putting away money for tomorrow gives you peace of mind and financial independence. This is the key to a better life during retirement. You can also withdraw some of your FNPF to help you with housing, education, funeral, unemployment, medical and approved natural disaster schemes. These are the pre-retirement benefits. When you reach the age of 55, you have the choice to either fully withdraw or choose one of our retirement products. The FNPF, securing your future.
We work hard for our money, and because of that, now more than ever, belonging to the Fiji National Provident Fund is reassuring. Along with hundreds of thousands of Fijians, we know that our money invested is for us and us alone, growing our retirement funds in ways we could never do on our own. FNPF is securing our future, our dreams, and that's why we know we're all in good hands. FNPF, securing your future.
Tambulagnak daw na tabo kayone moli kumbu o sayang bakili masanga buluk kadiwa turangan ni ng bawdiwa natikina omboretu nasa na ba turang hotel di kita kami pension yung balata na maraman na tilang kung kwenta lang ay pension doon na ipakasal sabutok ko biyaw meu nanom na singan no ko pagdingon sa nautimay na ilap sa nautimay na nakadak
kia mni nangwani au kanira kana chombo ina la bani provident fund
dia magal tanga na kan pension wan global di garabi sana tubri global di sana tubri ko balatana ni tombo la bagal
Bikenda kun level kanta baru moda tunde chik mom sokana no.
We kindly request you put your mobile phones on silent or vibrate mode. We are also streaming this forum live on Facebook and YouTube, so please be mindful of the cameras if you intend to move around. Also present are our friends from the Fiji Association of the Deaf. They are our sign language interpreters for those who are here or watching and are hearing impaired. Please ensure that you have registered and that you have a forum pack with you. The pack contains information and materials that will guide you in today's forum. It also includes a summary of our annual report for 2022. In your pack, there is a feedback form. Please complete the form at the end of the forum and hand it to our staff, and we will give you a light meal pack as a gesture of our appreciation for attending today's forum. To begin our forum this morning, we kindly ask that we please bow our heads and pray. Let's pray. Almighty Father in heaven, we come before you this morning in prayer to thank you. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for bringing us safely to Taveuni this morning to meet our members, our pensioners, and our employers to discuss important matters related to the fund. We kindly ask you, Almighty, to please give us a listening ear, help us to participate in our discussions this morning, and have our questions and queries answered. We commit our program to you, Father. We kindly ask that you please bless our efforts. We ask you forgive us for our shortcomings, and we offer this prayer in the name of our King and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the CEO, executives, and the FNPF team that is here this morning, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to our annual member forum. We also welcome those tuning in via live stream on our official Facebook page from Fiji and abroad. If you are attending this forum for the first time, this event takes place annually, where by law FNPF must conduct a forum with its members and present its financials for the previous financial year. We will discuss key activities and future plans with you, our members, employers, and pensioners. This is an important event because it gives you the opportunity to raise your concerns and have them discussed with our executives. So we hope that you will make the most of this forum and ensure that all your issues are addressed and all your questions are answered. At the end of the session, you can also access any FNPF service. Our staff are here to assist you with any queries you may have. The program this morning will consist of our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Viliame Vondonevalu, presenting to you our highlights and financials for the financial year 2022. Then we will have a question and answer session before we end today's forum. If you need anything, please let any of our staff know who are here to assist you. Ladies and gentlemen, without further delay, I will now invite our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Viliame Vondonevalu, for his official presentation. Naka.
Nisa Nravinaka, kanto kaiwi ke tau adara mai na singanikua, namuni adu talanga me walele bunda me soto atu. Pambota ni na otina singanikua ni na raida na kenayanga, ngo indua na ital noa ni labu musuki. Ya usana kera tino bibu soti, usana bos chunga babalangi, batani review takatal chunga mai wira sotale through Facebook. Mbuluvinaka, ladies and gentlemen, what a pleasure it is to be here on the Garden Island in the Chifuli village of Somosomo. I also welcome members who are joining us live on Facebook, on YouTube. I want to firstly thank God Almighty for His grace and mercy in our lives. It is important that we continue to acknowledge God's mercy and protection in our life, enabling us to be here this morning. We always look forward to our annual forum, with this year being the 10th year that we have been conducting the Members' Forum. But it is the first time we are holding our forum here in Taveuni, and it will not be our last. We understand the need of our members here in Taveuni. We have also realized the importance of constant engaging, especially when our Somosomo Lambasa office is quite far from here. This is the reason why we are also holding a retirement expo in Nangara this week. It is to ensure that you access to the same level of information that other members do, especially regarding retirement saving and planning. We will look into holding more funds events in Taveuni and ensure we increase our presence for your benefit. We will take you through our current financial performance, our key activities, and discuss some of our challenges. Our agenda, as shown on the slide, most of what I will share with you today is in the annual report summary that is available in your forum pack. At the conclusion of our presentation, then we'll open to a question and answer session. The past year has been challenging for our members and business alike. We have to adjust to a pandemic that have altered our lifestyle and our routine. At the fund, we are most happy with our response. Despite enduring one of the most difficult periods this nation has ever faced, the FNPF has continued to provide assistance as best as it could be. The pandemic has demonstrated that nothing is ever certain, and that our model and operation design must be more adaptable and sustainable. Although the operating climate continued to gradually improve, the FNPF team did its best to step up and deliver. Usana vosa talango na balatana nito rawaka na baki rosangabulu karua na nito financial. 30th June 2022. Fund has a total asset of 8.7 billion, an increase of 500 million or 6% growth from the previous year. So na ilabo musuki na business darani tuko na business level tondo in the market of Ilabo. Our net income was 650.8 million, an increase of 107.3 million or 19.7% growth from prior year. As a result, in the cut-off contribution rate from 18 to 10, collection was as low as 395.2 million. In a normal year, we normally collect 600 million a year. Contribution rate was increased to 14% as of 1 January 2023. We were now pursuing government to have the contribution rate fully restored as soon as practical. As at 30th June 2022, members' fund in total amount to 6.7 million. Ya na ilabo nondra na oira kita na member tigo na FNPF ono point di vitu na milioni. An increase of 100 million from prior year, or a growth of 2% despite the negative net withdrawal for 2022. So namba ki rosabu karua lebu dake na wilin tamata se bagay labo ni labo musuki manafan na withdraw tak na member. May virna labo ko durma bikito. Net income available for net allocation, our net increase in net asset, or the amount available for distribution during the year, was 600.5 million, an increase of 104 million or 21% increase from 2022. Interest credited to member. We were able to declare a 6% interest in 2022, enabling the fund to distribute 370 million to over 392,000 members account. The growth in interest is related to the higher return achieved from investment that have been strategically managed by FNPF. In the past 5 years, the fund has credited over 1.6 billion to members' account. FNPF reserve, our solvency and investment reserve is what protects the fund. We ambaki kede ke tondo wasia na ilabo rawa mena tumbu ni neto investment. Doane wasia na soli we kem ni na member waka wabareta ka chuga tolu nan raw witsanga bulu na milioni ko wasia. Na kena dada mena onon raw 0.5 na milioni ke to rawa tana baki AMB na reserve. Ya na reserve we bintai baru the solvency reserve and the investment reserve to protect your fund. The solvency reserve is mandated by law under Section 32 of the FNPF Act. The total value of asset must be 110% of the value of our liability. So na ilaw ni ka ke to ndino taka me ke to soma vindu tai take vata ke na lebu ni ka ke to non fund se asset don me donan raw rosang bulo na pasyente ni ka me lebu take me na ka ke to ndino taka. Investment reserve is mandated under Section 32 A and B. The state, the actuary may recommend a higher percentage. Our return on investment, despite the significant COVID-19 payout during the year, FNPF was still able to achieve a growth in the investment portfolio. The fund posted a 7.4% return on investment in 2022. Predominant component of investment return is the government bond interest. Bond rate decreased during the year, impacting current long-term yield as well as a result of high liquidity in the financial system. But income and equity investment also contributed to a positive return during the year. From 2022, our return on investment have been positive and began to normalize as the economy picked up post-COVID-19. On investment portfolio, our investment portfolio currently stands at 8.6 billion as at 30th June 2022. Investment portfolio grew by from 4.46 billion in 2014 to 8.6 billion in 2022. So na rosabulutin ka ba na level ni kaketo utak na FNPF va pointi va ono ng bilyoni. Ngay wento tayo tagibata kina rosabulu karua sa adoba na 8.1 na bilyoni. This is an overall growth of 93%. The diversification of investment portfolio is the most successful strategy, investing in defensive and growth assets. So nabinday talaga ni nito investment na wasiwaru ka keto non na fund keto lewa bat ke ko keto bita ng banke se keto kaya solibi keto na bibintin natin ni na sulile sumay na interest. Benefit paid to members in addition to COVID-19 unemployment assistance, the fund continued to assist members under normal withdrawal grounds. Including unemployment, FNPF paid out a total of 467 million during the year, a decrease of 33.8 million from 2021. So luto balelay na ilabo keto suliber na unemployment, namba ki video tagibata na rosang bulu rusul karua kena rosang bulu rusul kandua. This can be attributed to normalizing of the unemployment withdrawal as members return to work. We've continued to pay out members as when they need, and more importantly, if they qualify under our requirement. Dona utulebu ni neto dakadaka ni kaketora ni dakaba bakalawatake, singin keto dakaba dona katonda kunilaw. The fund is administratively and financially capable to meet our commitment to our members. Sanga bakanduan indo na ngauna, meado indo na ngauna mera lakwa ina nito member, Mera kerianela bo mekitu tuune sanganela. Tutunganela bo kitu. At the end of June 2022, the fund has a total of 398,593 members. Tolunan rau diesol kawalu limanan rau diesol ko toluna member. A breakdown in compulsory and voluntary by gender, as you have seen on the screen. Our compulsory members is 240,536 compulsory member. Voluntary members is 12,242. And male and gender slightly have membership advantage over female. On our pensioners, our total members of pensioners is 7,922 at the end of financial year 2022, with 52% being our male pensioners. Our pension take-up last year was 4.9% compared to 3.7%. Na oir ko sarado na baki lim sabul kalima, masara ni raboli pension. Oir keda para ado na basul lim sabul kalima ba poindi diwa nga pasente era tarana pension. Our pension take-up last year was 4.9%. A total number of our active employers are 7,732 in 2022. These are employers that have paid the employer's contribution at least once during the financial year. Our major activity. I will now go through our key achievements for 2022, supporting our members' COVID response for the first 6 months of 2022, we continue to provide COVID unemployment assistance to those members that were still affected. When COVID assistance was introduced in 2022, 220 million have been paid from members' account and 186 million top up by government. Total payment to date is 406 million. There were 3 initiatives that were also rolled out by the fund to assist members who continue to face financial hardship as a result of COVID-19. These are home loan mortgage assistance, the low account balance full withdrawals, and the macro business assistance. Our enablers. Sustaining our digital focus was also a key activity in 2022. We enhanced the employers portal called the Employers 2 and trialed this with the selected employers. The My FNPF app was enabled to accept submission of funeral and advice of death application. So sa Ramadan nyo na apply taka na kanimate na through nanumu apps. Sa nyo da kabanga namu taliwon. In collaboration with the BSP, the fund implemented the Internet Payment Gateway, IPG, into my apps, FNPF apps. This allowed members to perform end-to-end digital transactions as well as allowing payment of contribution and registration of new voluntary members. So, sa manunong talibon nga o sa ramandani na kabinong contribution. Mo transfer kinom contribution, watanlaki na mo register. The fund back office processes continue to be automated in relation to administration of our members, our pensioner, and our employer. Our investment. Our key investment activity in 2022 were the completion of the Sheraton Fiji Resort refurbishment. This was a key milestone as was the opening of the resort. Sheraton Fiji Resort had now been set as standard on Denver of offering superior service and product. Westin Resort is currently closed and is undergoing renovation. We have completed the mock-up room from Westin, and the appointment of the contractor will be completed soon. Na hotel au sige da buto ti aro na hotel ko ron tambi ti ko na anu den raw. Yo na anu den raw sa vi mama na anu ken den raw ne FNPF. Ke ba ka sa ngolo ti ko sa no re taila la ta ti ko na ka tu. We also opened the Nandi My FNPF Retail Center to the public. Ke ona ngole ni nadi ngo nyo sanga durunga ni na tawdi nadi don vale li ko be vale li ton tolo mtaw ni atala na vale ni ko uta ko FNPF sanga tarautinga sa ndola taltunga. The new FNPF office should be operating out of my FNPF center in the coming financial year. So the acquisition of 30.02 shares of the Fiji Airways was a strategic investment for our national strategic asset totaling 93.1 million. Ketua viboli talangana baksao ti ketua bulekina na share ni Fiji Airways kene saubala boe Deu sangabul ka tolu na milioni .2. The Bar Hospital is also managed by Aspen Medical, also operating open for operation, and we are delighted to say that is well underway to performing open heart surgery. Ngarabi na katalangan na tambana ni tigumbulumbula, valimbula maimba, kina valimbula maidotoka, sa tigo anda na ownership ni FNPF. Investment in Fiji Airways. I would like to elaborate more on the Fiji Airways and the Bar Hospital investment, as I know there is a topic of interest. Go run investment kwa nierang oda balebu na nyandoka tambaki balebu. So nabia bost talmatikino bagandua. There is also a case study in your annual report summary on page 16 on the Fiji Airways share acquisition. With FNPF being a long-term financial investor, this was an opportunity not to be missed. FNPF sangan invest nga me tolu se vana mayambaki kito investa balap. Bata nambula bata kan indo na tamata ni vetora rosa bukalima nambaki se tin kalima. So ni kito boli na kana vakasama embalap with it embalap. Singi didingan kito dagalaman do nambaki. So na loma nambaki ke de kon kai reida ana buna kito do bulekina so na setlile wango. Yeah, the investment add value not only to the fund hotel portfolio but also synergies and enable potential investment opportunities such as medical, aged care tourism, sport tourism and commercial agriculture. These investments should consider on its own merit, and I can assure you that we have engaged a professional, credible, reputable firms with aviation expertise to undertake independent due diligence for the fund. Kaya kung nareda talaga na non-raw na nito boli hotel, kaya na boli share in Fiji Airways, ero lang bata, bata nila kung may naturi, share na lang nga may nawang gawag. So iba yung balimbalikin na bekito, may kito bulia. FNPF ay uta kayo ono na hotel aliliw, erandabo kita nga na ibitiliw. Yeah, the members will be able to earn dividend income from the growth in the value of FNPF share over time. This is in addition to interest income from existing loan. To date, the Fiji Airways have repaid 116.3 million in loan principal and 99.7 million in loan interest. Mana neto biakan dikin Fiji Airways sehingga may tigabunga na bagsaw chindi to bulis biakan siya lakusaran na rosawulu tinkaro kito siya soli loan kina. So na libun loan kito sa sulia sa somile sumay kito endonan raw tinkawano 0.2 milyon. Yo na interest talaga ni kakito sulia ako sa sumay chimay. Dios nga vulu 0.2 milyon na interest. Wana interest kwara la ko talbikim ni na member. As at 30th June, the loan balance held with the Fiji Airways is 226.5 million. Fiji Airways is a strategic asset for Fiji, and having a strong airline is crucial for our tourist industry and is an enabler to other investment opportunity. Our investment in the healthcare Fiji. As for the healthcare Fiji, we are excited about this venture. It's contributed towards improvement in health services and facility to our members and the general public alike. It's also an enabler to other investment opportunity. Members are also going to benefit through dividend income and from project. There was a delay in the provision of some of the service due to impact of pandemic on the hospital supplies and resources. We are now looking in the construction of a cardio unit in Lautoka, scope 1 of the project. To date, FNPF has invested 20.8 million to fund the operation of the healthcare Fiji and Ba Lautoka Hospital. Way forward now and to our way towards our future plan. Understanding our challenges is one of the key that we intend to achieve, with the strategic theme of resetting, repositioning the fund and beyond. We still have many challenges ahead, both operation and financial. We need to clarify our role and find the balance between members' expectation and our core purpose in securing a future for a meaningful retirement. We need to address the low members' balance issue. We also need to ensure our withdrawal products are relevant. The fund needs to offer a variety of retirement products to suit different segments of our members. We must ensure the sustainability of our retirement product and also diversify our investment in local market and also globally. Reaffirming our purpose. What is our way forward? We are striving to affirm our purpose. We would improve in how we collect contribution and also invest. We want to be the best provider of financial advice. We want to champion the preservation policy and help you save for meaningful retirement. We strive to develop and offer relevant products during your working life and your retirement. Now we'll move on to quite an important part of the fund. We protect your fund. FNPF will always ensure that members will share in what the funds gain, and will never share any losses that we've made. For some super fund around the world, it is the member who would bear the risk, and the impact of losses is felt in their balance during the being reduced. For FNPF, we are not allowed to this, and that is an added protection to our members. Members' fund cannot be used as a collateral as per Section 94 of the FNPF. Singira nyo bangataka mo FNPF fund, mo bangataka me security ni dono mulo. Watambui bala, waka ndaran dakaba. Kaya bakanta chikubi kan dono motaka, kaya sangala la sas rando bangataka ndalindina, unda secure taka. FNPF fund is singira no dakapa. We are here to protect your fund. By law, FNPF must comply with the legislative solvency requirement, which means the total value of our asset must be at least 110% of the value of our liability. This is as per Section 32 of the FNPF Act. We also have other sound management mechanisms in place, such as ongoing solvency monitoring, annual actuarial solvency review. We also do independent valuation of investment, method of fair value during audit, external audit, application of our internal accounting standard. Our current reserve is 1.7 billion, as I've stated earlier. So, bawa sa madala tagoti, ni oti na lomba ni nito da kay laban na doon ang baki kito ndo wasea ni labo kito zakataraw na tumbo. Do wasen doon na kene wase bikim ni na member, so aran do umbiu baka tiki-tiki ke baka maniado ndo na ka. So ya nangon ko ba mabal taka chiguna reserve. So reserve ko umbiu baka tiki-tiki sa kene songo ni todo ko ngonango sa 2.2 billion. Ultimately, we would strive to ensure your retirement security. It has not been an easy year for all of us, but definitely we have come out better for the experience, and therefore become better in the process. Your FNPF is safe and secure. Let no one convince you otherwise. Punaka.
Thank you, CEO. We will now go into our question and answer session. We kindly ask the panel if they can please take their seats. Thank you. Just to introduce our panelists, furthest to my left is our Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Pravinesh Singh. In the middle, we have our General Manager Member Services, Mr. Alipati Wangairawai. And closest to me is our CEO, Mr. William Ebondo Naivalu. Before we begin the question and answer session, there's a few protocols we would like everyone to follow. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We will have someone bring you a mic. Once you receive the mic, please state your name, whether you are a member, pensioner, or employer, and you may ask your question in vernacular. We ask that there please be no shouting. And if you are not comfortable asking the question, you can send us a text on 9968163. You can text us your question to 9968163, and we'll forward that question to our panel. Sa ating mong nangon ni taro, kaya bakando na mutaro, kaya kabatan na lingam sa nakuen ng usniwasa, kaya nga nadamu, kaya bakao member, pensieni, siyo tokin ni dakadaka, orang tikusar ng taro. Thank you. Our question and answer session is now open. Sandolo tunggu nangon ni taro. For those joining us online, you can also ask your question via comments, and we will, on Facebook, and we will put your questions to our panel.
Naka ni mula vinaka meratu ni lakana taru una numanga meu vivana numinga klango na ngone vinaka dodo na monitar klali una ngone ni vitala no ni vikila sona kambala tatamada ni la musuki ni ndo kota mai na moni tukutuku mai watale sona wanwa ona me ni ngone angona sana makete se vimba ni keto chigongo Euna vi vagaungeti vekenda na taro da vagai tuku vi gongo na kenangona. Baltamena somi vandon donu vike muni na taro. Sindo na taro e taro lieli sindo na taro e taro. Na taro na kena ina kisaranga kitu lakwabu me kenongo me kitu mai taro. So vike muni na ngalala monitoring kitu kini kitu na somvandon. That was just re-emphasizing the need for questions. You've made the effort to be here. You've given your time to be present here. Please ask any questions that you have that's been bugging you, that you've been wanting to ask. Now you'll get the answers straight from us. If we don't know the answers, probably there are some members of our team that are out there. But we would encourage you to ask, because this is the question and answer session. We want to satisfy you. As you leave this place today, we want your questions to be answered.
Mr. Ambulavinaka, my name is Kasanita Rainimboni, member number 1517808. I would say I'm a disappointed member. The reason is due to unemployment scheme. I left my employment due to no job policy. And when I wanted to apply my unemployment assistance, I was told that I had missed my date, the date that I was supposed to submit my application online. But I was not aware of that. Up till now, I haven't been assisted. And another question is, why is that us member have to pay 100 fee or a documentation fee as to apply something to assist? For example, I had applied for my home loan assistance, and I was not allowed because I was not prepared to pay $100 upfront fee. The question is, I was a member for so long, why do I have to pay $100 upfront when I'm in need, I don't have fund with me, I hope that you can assist in that question. Thank you.
Thank you for the two questions, Madam. I totally understand your predicament and your frustration as well. Related to question 1, where you were seeking unemployment assistance, FNPF does not discriminate. That's to start off with. Despite the fact that number of places where there was no job policy, you could not access any sort of assistance. FNPF, the funds belong to you. So in that case, we did not discriminate between you, whether you were vaxxed or not. So even if you are not vaccinated, FNPF allowed you to come and withdraw for unemployment assistance. The issue that you are raising is you missed the deadline to access the assistance. I think there were some due dates that were put in place because, as you would understand, COVID was something that we had not planned. We didn't know that COVID was coming. So when it did hit Fiji, a lot of us were affected. So we had to run the unemployment assistance. A lot of members were impacted. We had to provide unemployment assistance to a lot of them. Unlike where one family member loses their job, they come, they have a timeline. If they resign, they have about 3 months before they can access assistance. That's a one-off case. But during COVID, I remember when we started to roll out the assistance in April 2020, initially we had hundreds and thousands of people coming for assistance. Over the course of COVID, we had assisted well over 120,000 unique members. So if you look at, if you remember CEO's sharing the number of members we have in FNPF, we have close to 400,000 active members, 398,000 or so. So about 120, a little less than 1/3 were assisted. So we had to make sure in every round we were able to cater for these members. So if you missed one particular round, we didn't say, okay, you cannot assist. We will not assist you. You were free to come and join the other rounds, and we would have continued the full amount of assistance from the next round onwards. So you do not miss on any unemployment assistance. The mere fact that you're saying that we missed, I'll come and see you later. You can, I think the time has lapsed, but unemployment assistance, normal unemployment assistance is still there. I'll see if there's an opportunity for us to assist you, madam. The second one, in terms of fee, if you may remember, back in the days, FNPF used to charge $20 fee for accessing any of the withdrawal grounds. During member forums like this, we got feedback from you that why should FNPF be charging? Because it's a member fund. So we've taken that away. But you remember, if you go to a bank, the fees is much higher. They charge a percentage of the total loan they are going to give you for assistance. I think that is where the housing withdrawal is a bit different, because there's a lengthier process. So FNPF also needs to cover administrative expenses, but the $100 you don't have to pay upfront. The option is we allow you. There's a particular section in the form that allows you to deduct from your own savings that's at FNPF. You don't have to pay that money at the cashiers prior to lodgement. If you opt, if you tick the box, we will be able to take it off from the assistance that we are going to offer you, should you qualify for the assistance. I hope I've answered your question, madam. But on the unemployment, I'll come and see you after this. Naka.
My name is Ram Kirawan from Gila. I want to ask one question. Yes. From all the mainland and Honolulu and Vitilevu, people got access FNPF. Why Taveuni people left behind, neglected? We have no service here. Why don't we have one office here of FNPF so that we can have access for the members? I think 20 members will join that FNPF. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the question. I think it's a very important issue that you've raised. Why is FNPF not here? And that's something under contention. I think this is where we get feedbacks from you. We take it to our board. I know there is a growing demand from the members and non-members in Taveuni. So point taken, sir. We will take it to our board. And we see the growing number of activities in Taveuni, especially the dollar farmers and the growth farmers. So definitely there is an opportunity for you to save and be part of FNPF. So you are not left behind. I think based on feedbacks, we did open offices in Nakasi. We closed one in Valelevu because there was more demand in Nakasi. So something under consideration now is Raki as well. We've got services in Somosomo, and we'll take this back to our board. And we'll do the numbers and we'll see if there's an opportunity to open an office on our own, or we will need to partner with any other organization, but we'll definitely take it on board, sir. And today is a testament. This is the first time we've had a member forum in Taveuni. This is based on the feedback we've been receiving that why is Taveuni left out. So for the first time I think we've come across, this is the first of the forum and many more to continue in future.
Just to address what have been mentioned by Ku. I mentioned in the presentation the digital enabler. So now you can register through your apps. You can do it electronically. You can register as a volunteer member. You can even do your contribution through your apps. So from your phone you can do a lot of it. And even withdrawals. For death and other withdrawal, it can be done electronically through your mobile phone.
And what we can do is you can see our members after this. See how people out there when they're serving, they can register you, and you can, as the two gentlemen, you can get services from FNPF via your mobile, by the My FNPF. It's very convenient. There's over 200,000 members that are actually accessing that at the moment. You can either pay your contributions, do transfers, you can do withdrawals, you can look at your eligibility, your statements. So wherever you have access to a signal, you have connectivity, you can access services. So we're encouraging you, and we would encourage you to sort of see our team after this, so they can register you on that app. But as for furthering our presence here, I think the start is we are now coming here to hold this member forum based on the demand and the things that we are seeing. Now there's a lot of money in Taveuni, we know that. There's a lot of money circulating in Taveuni. Okay? But how do we, for us it's presenting a business case to the board in terms of justifying the reasons why no, we don't have it. But we've started, we've come here and we're now meeting you, so that's a good start.
In addition to what colleagues have said, the fact that we are not present here does not stop you from saving with FNPF. If you're a member with FNPF, the mobile app allows you to now pay contributions through M-Pesa, but you need to be registered on the FNPF mobile app. We've got close to 210,000 members. Because the way the world is moving and technology is evolving, we have a lot of people who are tech savvy. They don't want to come to the office. They don't want to visit FNPF offices. They don't want to stand in queues. They want to work from the comfort of their homes at their leisure. So these mobile technologies are the enablers, the facilitators that allow you to save and transfer money digitally, as opposed to going to a bank or ATM, withdrawing money. Then you go to FNPF office, then you say, I want to pay. You can just pay from your mobile phones. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question online. Can FNPF assist farmers with agricultural assistance?
Thank you. That's a good question. There are only 5 grams of withdrawals available under the fund that you can have access to. We believe that there are other institutions that can do that easily, which is the Fiji Development Bank that caters specifically for farmers and that sort of business. And I think you've got an office for FDB here. But otherwise, for FNPF, The FNPF, since it began in 1966, its purpose has not changed. Its purpose is about saving for retirement. That was why the FNPF was set up in 1966. And that still remains the objective of FNPF. However, within the 5 grounds of withdrawals that is available there, members can only have access to medical, education, housing, funeral, unemployment, and natural disaster. But for example, if there's someone here that's over 50 years that has less than 10,000 balance at the FNPF, that hasn't been employed for 1 year, they have less than 10,000, they have access to what's called a small withdrawal. You can come in and take all your money out. You fill in the form and you get your whole money out. That's the purpose for that, is to help you start a business or whatever you want. Okay? So I'll just emphasize that if you are 50 years, your balance is 10,000 and less. Not $10,010, not $10,020, but 10,000 and less. If your balance is that you are 50 years and you haven't been employed for 1 year, you can come to the fund, fill in your form with our people. We will give you your whole money back. Yeah? Unemployed for 3 years, yeah? Yeah. And there's a lot of people that have accessed that. And previously, if I go back previously, FNPF used to give out what's called a small business equity scheme. And we stopped that in 2011, I think. 2011, because there were a lot of abuses. People want to start up their taxi business, their transport, their small stalls and things like that. So when we did a comparative study, if members had put their money, have kept their money at the FNPF and been paid the interest that we paid them on an yearly basis, they would have received more money. We were also allowed to purchase certain shares. So because of the abuses, we had stopped that. So the actual answer to that question that has been asked, the online team, is that no, we don't assist. But we assist we don't assist for we assist if you want to purchase a farm or an agricultural lease, you can. Okay? You can apply to the fund under our housing scheme for you to purchase an agricultural lease. As long as that agricultural lease is 10 years. Okay? The minimum term that's remaining has to be 10 years and above. Okay? If you want to do cane farming, if you want to do whatever farming you've got a lease of, you can apply to the FNPF to use your money to purchase a lease, an agricultural lease. Benak.
Naka, the floor is still open for questions. We have one in the front.
My name is Rosa Taufel. I'm a member of FNPF. I would like to ask if I am eligible to be assisted for an education assistance if I'm a next of kin to an employed aunt, or is it just, am I just eligible to apply if it's my mother?
The FNPF's assistance is confined to the following. It has to be immediate family. It has to be either your spouse, your siblings, or your parents. It cannot, or your children. It cannot go to your auntie or talelai, ne kwe halanginga ina romani ni vewe kanyango. Veitamani, veiluveni, veiwatini, so the assistance of FNPF is confined within that relationship. It's your spouse, it's your siblings, or your parents. All FNPF assistance is confined to that.
Naka, we have another lady in the front here.
Naknaidango Mernauvi, na Tarunga, que caindo salevena tiko na leoni member, tiko indo na tumbe solitiko vikoe, kana levu.
Naka, the question is if anyone is a member, now is he paid, he or she earns interest. Ana uto saranga ni member ni FNPF. Na inaki nindo may member na FNPF, balata na tumbu kay to sumuvay na biyambaki. Kaya kaondo tay se otaka business tu ngawa tagi ko voluntary member sin taka tunday se otaka tunday se ndona ngone ambaki ono sa ngono saro nen dola na kaun ngarate ko ngone ambaki ono la ko dai na ngone baba kina na ambaki ena kadi ba na tumbu na nito don lewa na ngone kadi ba kina tumbu ya bagsaw te kadi ba ki ono na pasente ono pasente aro tani tolan raw example ka 2 million Ravi was yaka keda na members keda go. Ambaki ono, voluntary member bangona, se member tunde, and then I was a vato to keda na member. Na usu tu sarangan nito vivo kung geti chigo mindo may member na FNPF, balata na tumbo so mucho. Esang talindo na buno ni batumbo la wewichi, mero rau kena tumbo so mucho na FNPF. Tumbo le bundundo so mucho na FNPF. Kaya kita viva kung geti chico sini tuku ni ndati ko ngawa na koro ndati ko sar ngawa na koro ala kan da business lalai tiko dan dau tei se dan dau siwa kito na viva kung geti muni member ni FNPF mata nandona ngona na koko ay bagay alalangan yo sala do may sangka sa tanga may sasinro na li tei sasinro ni oli rakaw na tala mo linun Liu talanga na ngono viti, arati una ve koro. Rasinda da tunde, na ngono sara magi limu sa kelima kina rapensen, na re na ale alo ketu wareta tu ya. Autin non ra koko vada da tete, na non rapensen nga sara torch ve vivula, na rao chekin bra una vivo con giti. Rao si ve ke mdina tu na korova turango, Somosomo, na sana ngo da kondo. Ni we tukunya ganya na kena vinaka ni wa tumbila na FNPF mata na nito uni we wa ngeti tigo embala tasara na tumbu ke tu somba na pa
Thank you. We have a question that was raised with our retirement expo team. Can FNPF please talk to BSP Bank to make depositing money easier, because they always ask for source of funds when we want to deposit large sums of money?
That shows that Taveuni has a lot of money. I think that is something beyond us. I think that's a law put in by the Financial Institution Unit at the Reserve Bank of Fiji. So all banks, including FNPF, needs to comply to stop any money laundering, or if you've got money earning from some illegitimate source or illegal sources. We hope you don't have those money with you. It's all coming from grog and dalo. So that's why the banks will demand the source of funds. If you've got a bag of cash, you take it to the counter and they'll ask you definitely where did you get it from. So you'll have to declare it. If you bring in money into FNPF in cash, we need to also comply. So that's something that has been put in, that's a law, so we cannot change that law, unfortunately. Thank you.
Thank you. The floor is still open for questions. We have a gentleman in the back.
Retired, can I get re-registered for 5 years, sir? Till I reach 70. I am a business owner, a small business owner in the village. The question is, can I re-register until I reach 70? I'm 65 now, not almost 65. Just 5 years.
Thank you. The answer to that question is if you have withdrawn once, you only have one opportunity to re-enter. But if you are a voluntary member, the age that you must be in before you retire, the ceiling is 54 years old. Okay, which rules you out. Yeah? Yeah. But otherwise, if you are employed somewhere and then you run a small business and the business register you as an employee, you can become a compulsory member. Okay, you register yourself as an employer, and the business employs you as an employee and as a compulsory member. That's another way of getting you into the membership, and provided you've just withdrawn once already. Enough.
Vinaka, we have another online question. Why doesn't FNPF cover online studies under education withdrawal?
That's soon to come. Yeah, I think that has been something in the pipeline for a number of years, but there were some good reasons as to why FNPF was not able to assist online studies, because like what Alipate has said, our core purpose hasn't changed. We're still a retirement fund. But then we see education as an investment. Whether it's for you or your children, education is an investment. So all this while we had institutions in the country that were actually accredited by FEC, which is the Fiji Higher Education College. But then, like what we alluded earlier, the way technology is moving, we've got mobile app, so there are a number of institutions now offering online studies. And based on those studies, you are able to get a certificate or certificate of award, whether it's a certificate, diploma, degree, and that's how you are able to do online studies. So FNPF, after taking feedback from the members, has now actively started talk. In fact, this was just discussed on Monday. So we are taking to our executive committee for online studies to be assisted for members. So that is something, as soon as our board convenes, we should be able to get that underway. So that's not too far in the distant future.
Naka? Any more questions from the floor? We have another online question. For students on scholarship, can FNPF allow laptops to be purchased for education assistance?
Yeah, that's again, that is something that was just discussed together with the online studies this week on Monday. So that's also part of the package that we're taking to the board. So it seems you guys know ahead of what we are going to do. Thank you.
Okay.
First of all, I just want to thank the Fiji National Provident Fund and the board for bringing the consultation across to Taveuni. I'm always currently a member. I have, I think, 3 queries and comments. First is the environment or tone of consultation when we have consultation. If there is a possibility of having a much more informal, because we have farming communities who are out there with funds who may want to invest, but they may be reluctant to mandua. It's just a request. If there is a possibility for FNPF to conduct on that mode of consultation with the communities and the villages. Secondly, does FNPF provide for option on lump sum of deposit for voluntary membership? And thirdly is, what is the opinion of the Provident Fund on overseas investment upon retirement? Thank you.
Look, that's three very good questions. On the first one, in terms of order, the fund has what's called a member and education advocacy team. If you have been to Nangara, that team is currently doing sessions at Nangara right now. And their mode of operation is actually to really come down and sit with you and give you a one-on-one counseling. So that's their preferred method of engagement, one-on-one. David talno sarang abayan tundua, laurai na computer, laurai na nadavera nida. The only request, if you want the team or any of the team in the north to come to your communities, to your places of work, or Somosomo to whatever it is, faith-based community organization, you just let the team know. Timothy, we will put the contacts of Timothy, who is Timothy is the head of operating manager North, and Teai is in Somosomo. You just get in contact with them. They will make arrangements to come and make, in terms of their schedule, as to when they can come and do presentations in your respective villages. Please feel free. And we would really welcome them, because we know that we want to put people at ease, and the best form of one-to-one is really one-to-one sessions and coming down to the grassroots. In terms of lump sum, no, if you really have a large sums of money, our team can come and collect that money for you. We've allowed for that previously, and we have done that for members. As long as it's from a legal source, not from an illegal source, because you'll have to sign a declaration. But anyway, that's the declaration that you have to make. But our inspectors and our team can actually come and do collections, no? If they are situated near. In fact, we do that for some farming community groups, for voluntary members around the country. We've sort of spoken with them, and they've scheduled a regular session for them to come and contribute. Of course, the other session, if you don't want to go to the banks, you can go to the banks and have it transferred via your bank account. Just direct transfers to the fund. And with FNPF right now, you can transfer as much as you want. No? We would encourage you. Especially those that are wanting to increase their contributions, you can increase your contributions. It doesn't have to be monthly, as and when you harvest, as and when you have access to a lump sum. Okay? But if you've got really lots of money, you can request us, and our team can come and assist with the collection of that money. The third one is in relation to overseas investment. That's really, if I were to be very frank, it's really a double-edged sword. FNPF by law is only allowed to invest overseas provided the Reserve Bank of Fiji gives us the approval to invest overseas. And right now our portfolio, overseas portfolio, is about what? Less than 10? Huh? About 8%. So the total money is overseas. That's about just 8% of the total portfolio of our money. So it's also a risky business, investing overseas, foreign exchange risks. There's a lot of currency exchange risks. There's a lot of risks that's involved when you do invest overseas. But that's currently the status of play at the moment. We are limited to what we can invest overseas. Any overseas investment, we will require the Reserve Bank approval. I hope all the questions are answered.
Naka, we have another online question. Will FNPF assist to repay TEL's loans?
FNPF does not, I go back to the purpose of FNPF. FNPF's purpose is specifically for retirement. So FNPF doesn't pay any arrears, any rental areas, lease areas, or education areas. Okay? In terms of education, we can just go back the previous semester. Okay? FNPF specifically does not pay off any, even city rates, we don't pay city rates. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you. The floor is still open for questions.
Tim, if there's no questions, I would just like to encourage people that are here. You know, FNPF can now, you can now go and open an account with FNPF for 6-year-olds, minor accounts. And if all the parents out here and grandparents that are out here, if there's a gift that I think that you can give your child, one of the best gifts that you can give your child is to open an account at FNPF. Why am I saying that? Because they are 6-year-olds, and when you talk about compound interest, natumbu, when somebody starts at 6 years old, by the time he or she reaches 18 years or 17 years, he or she can help you to pay for his or her own education fees. Parents and guardians know how expensive, higher education is. But that was one of the very reasons why we started this up. Not only that, we've seen, there's about 1,064 that are registered today. And we've seen when students or when young children see that their money are growing every year, no, it's inculcating them to save. It's nurturing a spirit of savings from a very young age. So if there's something that we would like to encourage people today, a good gift that you can give your child is to start them on an FNPF. $10, $20. Because in investment, there are only 4 things that will result in a high return at the end of the day. Firstly, the principle, what you put in. Okay, the second one is the term. So from 6-year-old to 54, okay, that's about 48 years. And when you talk about compound interest, interest and interest, the interest rate that FNPF pays. The interest rate, we paid 6%. If you look at the papers today, you check in the business column of the Fiji Times, the other competition that's paying the highest interest rate for 1 year is 2.5%. FNPF pays you 6%. We paid you 6% last year. And the previous year is 5%. So there's no comparison there. And of course, the fourth one, you don't dip into your FNPF. Bita metumutu. That's how you maximize your interest from FNPF. So in terms of the requirements for minor accounts, there are forms that are available. Of course, tax identification number, your birth certificates. If you are the parent or the guardian, the administrator that will do that. And then you just start off with $10 or $20, and then as and when you want to deposit. And that would be one of the best decisions, and we believe one of the best investments that you can do to assist the younger generation to sort of build up a culture of savings.
Nakat, you have one question at the back?
My name is Peter Ngovu. I'm a FNPF member of 2598698. Just one question I want to raise in regards to our fund that been deducted and there with you guys in FNPF. How about if I wanted to apply to triple it, to double it in such a way, I bring a investment form from other company and I gave it to you guys in agreement to buy that investment, and you just return it back to my FNPF. Money is not coming to me, it's coming to you guys to triple it up or double it up. So the main purpose is for our retirement, so we can retire in a good way, in a fun way, that we earn more in our retirement. That is just a question from my side. Thank you very much.
Vinaka, the FNPF, we are trustees and custodians of members' funds. So if there's an investment that earning twice or three times the amount at FNPF, we want to know. Because when we look at the current investment climate in Fiji in terms of the interest that's being paid, we want to know who's that, because there would probably be hardly any other competitor that will pay a high interest than FNPF. And in investment, there's what's called a higher risk and higher return. Okay? When you want to earn higher interest, of course, the risks are higher. Okay? So you need to let us know where do you want to invest to and what's the company, because we will go and do our due diligence. So for us at FNPF, if someone can pay a higher rate than 6% or 5%, then you let us know, because as far as we are concerned, at the moment we believe that the interest that we are paying are the highest. And as I said before, we used to allow, under the small business equity scheme, there were certain shares that the members were allowed to purchase, which is the ATH shares previously. But these also stopped in 2011, and there were selected stocks that members could purchase. Because when we did a comparative study, we found out that if that money had remained in the FNPF, as opposed to being invested in that share, the money that they would have earned from FNPF would be much, much more than what was earned on those shares. So for us at the FNPF, it's about being trustee and custodians. We want to ensure that you earn the highest returns on your money. And before we do any investment decisions, for us it's about the safety, the risks involved. We need to assess the risks before we make our decision. That's why you have a very stringent assessment criteria that's in place, even in terms of the investments that we do. Okay? I hope that answers your questions. No?
Vinaka, in your forum pack, you will find a pamphlet on one of our new products, the drawdown account. Can we just ask the panel if they could just briefly explain our drawdown account product?
Thank you, Tim. Drawdown account is a new product that we've recently introduced, and this is a retirement plan that gives retired members or their dependents a monthly income if they meet certain criteria for full withdrawal. The monthly payments will keep going as long as there is money in this account. So unlike a pension account where you decide upon retirement that you will go on a life pension, single or joint, this drawdown account or the drawdown product remains in your member account, which means there's two additional benefits to keeping the money in the member account. Your FNPF savings will continue to attract interest. So apart from the monthly annuity that you will be getting every month, you can earn interest on the balance. The second one is, if there is an emergency, you will be able to make one withdrawal in a year. That's an added benefit in this product. And you can have multiple nominees, and you'll be getting tax-free interest that will be on the savings that you have in your drawdown account. So there are some other features to it. You need to have minimum of $50 per month, and I think there's a maximum principal amount. You cannot have more than 1 million in your drawdown account. So those are some of the benefits and the features of the drawdown account. And there are standard plans and a high end plan, or what we call a high payment plan. So a high payment plan will give you a bit of a higher amount every month, but the duration of that product will be a bit less. And a standard plan will give you about a bit less in terms of the monthly annuity you'll be getting, but the duration of your benefit will be a bit higher or longer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a question online. If my nomination is invalid, where does my money go and how can my family members claim the funds?
Look, that's a very good question on nomination. So if you are currently a member, you haven't gone to see who are your nominees, I would encourage you please to, as soon as you finish from here, you go and check your nominations. Why I'm saying this? Your nomination, the FNPF, under the FNPF Act, the nomination in FNPF overrides any will. You are the owner of the money. You will decide who gets your money in the event, in the unfortunate event that you die. And sometimes couples don't discuss this openly. But I would encourage you please to talk to each other very frankly, because we've seen very sad cases where when the head of the family has passed away, one of the partners has passed away, the surviving members, including the surviving spouse, doesn't really know where's that money because they haven't just discussed it. It's important for you to discuss it as a couple to sort of see, because in the unfortunate event that occurs, it's you are prepared, because this is what will happen. If your nominations are clear, you are the owner of the money, you decide who gets the money. You can, if you decide to give 100% to your spouse, that's it. Or you shared, you've got 4 children, okay, 25% to the wife, the other 75% to the 3 children. You, the member, you choose and you dictate who will receive your hard-earned monies. But if your nomination is not clear, somebody else will determine who gets that money for you. Because what will happen is that that money will go to the High Court. If it's not clear, and you know how quickly how slow the process in the High Court is. Because you'll go through all that rigmarole to sort of, before you eventually get your distribution. So it's important for you to update your nominations now. Because that's clear. As soon as something happens to you, you give in the relevant, the death certificate and all the related birth certificates, your money can be easily paid to whoever you intended to be distributed to. But if not, if it's not clear, then that will go to the High Court and you have no control over that process. So I would encourage everyone that's sitting here, everyone that's connected with us digitally on live stream on Facebook, please go and check your nominations and have that updated immediately. Otherwise, if something happens to you, then your surviving family will have to face a lot of problems and hardships.
Thank you.
And whilst on the subject of nomination, there's also a form called the Memorandum of Administration, MOA. So in other words, you are preparing for your own funeral. If something happens to you, if you fill that form, you need to fill that form when you are still alive. Some comes to the FNPF after the person has passed away and want to claim that $2,000. If that form is not filled, no payment will go to anyone. So that form has to be filled. So what's an MOA? An MOA, a sum of $2,000 will be deducted from the special death benefit payment that FNPF pays to each member when they die, which is $7,500. $2,000 of that will come to a person that you nominate, be it your husband, a spouse, or anyone that you nominate to administer your funeral. That money will be paid within 24 to 48 hours. I know all of us have been in situations where when our relative has passed away, all of us will have to put in for the coffin and all of that. But in this instance, you are preparing for your own expenses in terms of the funeral, which is $2,000. Okay? So it's important for you, the easiest filling in a form. You fill in a form and you have it registered with us. In the unfortunate event that you pass away, we will pay that $2,000 within the first 48 hours to ensure that your funeral arrangements are carried out. So I would encourage everyone to also fill in that form, okay? Because none of us knows the future.
Thank you. We have a question in the front.
Penaka, my name is Apil. Donga nongu taro au current students ngangoi university. Ero talanga ni kenda withdraw even na FNPF na nonda reni inda withdraw balatana short courses e only major program naka.
Bilak na nominataro e chico e na neto policy ni vevo ke na kanivuli na short courses o koe examinable, which leads to an award of certificate, diploma, not merely participation. Okay? The criteria o koe na suliwa e ndona na dana kena vitorunga na suliwa e ndona na kena stinki. So na courses kalela kan dalam ngam dale tenta kan ngai suliwa kan sintona kena vitorungi sintona kena koe ase. Yo na courses ke de koe vivu kena FNPF mena vakandonia mai wikito na Fiji Higher Education Commission me register chiwikia. All courses that's supported by FNPF has to be registered with the Fiji Higher Education Commission. Not only that, we reckon the institutions FNPF, they will need to become FNPF approved institutions. Ayan kena criteria rata una apply mai na FNPF. Na una ngo batentona ngo na ya iliu ara bini mai ra tandolanga na level institutions nuna sanganga mara rawi lava mai na FNPF. Kita sangai musuka kita bantu kita taruh wana nora registration masarangai muria mai ndona proses ko me kita kila nangone graduate kina endua yang na steve kada recognize tagi na matentu recognize tagi na qualifications framework ni FNPF mata ke vai sanga na non dei lavo na le mo wala malati ni sindo na betana na there's no value in the certificate that one receives. Unita ni sa so mona unita ro.
Naka.
I think it's important to also understand the reason why FNPF was not assisting in short courses. I think it's explained by Bate, but for English listeners, in the past there were a number of organizations or institutions that we were assisting, and what happened was when these institutions eventually gave the certificates to these members who had joined those education institutes, it was very difficult for them to obtain a job because these fly-by-nighters, the education was not accredited by Fiji Higher Education College. The quality of the programs, it was not vetted by Fiji Higher Education College, and but it was approved by FNPF. So, you know, despite the fact those courses, they were short courses, a week or two, but it resulted in members losing their hard-earned savings from FNPF because we paid those institutions. Some of those institutions, if you remember, Pat and I used to vet those organizations, they closed doors overnight and they went away. So that is why it's very important for those institutes to be accredited by Fiji Higher Education College, and then we look at those organizations or those education institutes, we look at their financial standing, we look at the cash flows, we look at the quality of the tutors in those organizations, and then we approve them as FNPF approved institutes. Those are the likes of USP, University of Fiji, Fiji National University, and most recently we've approved a computer organization that offers 1 or 2 units. So if you are studying by those institutes, then it results in an award of certificates, and those are credible organizations, and it helps in finding suitable employment. That is why FNPF only pays for those approved institutes.
We don't want you to lose your money because there are a number of organizations that register overnight and they offer courses for 1 or 2 days or 1 or 2 weeks, and you end up paying. But at the end of the day, you get a certificate of participation, and you take it, you bring it to one of the employers that has advertised for the job, and you tell them that I've completed this. They will not consider you for the job. The others who probably have got certificates or awards from recognized institutes will stand a higher chance of getting a job. So that is very important for you to understand why FNPF was not assisting. But then again, from recent feedbacks, we are now going to approve online studies. But there will also be 2 approved institutes that are either accredited by Fiji Higher Education College or the equivalent in Australia and New Zealand that have provided their Australian quality framework, approved by the equivalent of Fiji Higher Education College in Australia or New Zealand. Thank you.
Jim, I would just like at this point in time just to emphasize to members. Now, I would encourage you when you go home, with in your pack, there's a member summary. There's very valuable information in that summary. Please go and read it. Because the questions pertaining to the fund, most of the answers that people ask us are in this, particularly the investments. If we never know about to be like in FNPF, Nandina we namaten tu, lakawada, we the naila we solitu namaten tu, government borrowing, the investment in Fiji Airways, and the investments that we have. I would encourage you, please, when you have the time, to please have a look at, read this annual member summary, for it contains very, very valuable information. Because we know that there are questions out there now that we normally get asked: is our money safe? No. This FNPF is giving all the money to the government. Very soon, these are the perceptions out there, the things that you talk about in your grog sessions, in your Talanoa sessions. So, and we would like to when you look at this, it explains some of that. And I will just briefly touch on some of these things, just to help you out in terms of the investments. Now, the Chief has already alluded to the investments. The FNPF is a very wide, diversified investment base, and that's important for the survival of FNPF. The assets that it owns, it needs to do these investments to pay the kind of interest that we are paying, 6%. So what are some of the investments that FNPF? Very quickly, FERCA, the headquarters in Nasese, the FERCA headquarters, that's owned by FNPF. FERCA just pays rent to FNPF. That money comes in, it's distributed to you in terms of the interest. You go past the President's house, the GPH Hotel, that's owned by FNPF, wholly owned by FNPF. You go to the next hotel, which is Holiday Inn, that's owned by FNPF. Then you come forward there, you go to HFC Bank. HFC Bank is 75% owned by FNPF, including that property. HFC is just renting to FNPF for their headquarters. Then you come further down the line, opposite FDB, Dolphins. That tall building is owned by FNPF. So all the rentals from that comes to you, via the interest distribution. And then you go further ahead. You go to Nganilau House, headquarters of Telecom. That's owned by FNPF. And then the Harbour Center. The Harbour Center, that's owned by FNPF. Victoria Corner, the old National Bank opposite Schooner Park, that's owned by FNPF. Queensland Arcade, Queensland Insurance, next to ANZ, that's owned by FNPF. And then you go to the market, opposite the market in Suva, the old Burns Phillip building, that's owned by FNPF. And then you go down to Tamavua, the Vodafone building, that's owned by FNPF in Tamavua. And 73% of the shares in Vodafone is owned by FNPF. And not only that, our shareholding in ATH, we own the telecommunications company in Vanuatu, in Kiribati, in Western Samoa, in the Cook Islands, and we're also now into Papua New Guinea. So when you're using a Vodafone handset, you are also contributing to your own interest. New members are contributing because we own that. And then in Rewanga, the agricultural headquarters in Rewanga, that's owned by FNPF, those two buildings. opposite Rewanga. There's a DHL complex there, Rewanga Bread. That's owned by FNPF. And then you go down to the west in the hotels. Natandola, Intercontinental, that's owned by FNPF, fully owned by FNPF. The golf course included. The Marriott, Momi, that's owned by FNPF. Chief has already alluded to that we own half the island in Denarau, Western Sheraton, including the golf course. And the other properties, we also bid our interest for, if you come down to Lautoka, where the FSC headquarters is, that land in Nabutu, that roundabout in Nabutu, that's owned by FNPF. FSC is now just renting to us. Chief was just here in the last week looking at some potential purchases in Labasa, talking to FSC and all of that. So these are some of the opportunities that we have. Not only that, with BSP Bank, we are the 5th largest owner of BSP Group in Papua New Guinea, which owns the BSP Bank and the BSP Life in Fiji. We are the 5th largest group. And Vision Limited, Esco Motors, we have shares in there. Fiji Ports Limited, Air Pacific, Fiji Airways, 30%, ATH, Telecom, via ATH you've got Telecom, Fintel. So these are the shares, these are the investments that FNPF does on behalf of the members. And a lot of you are not aware that we own that, and we need to have that so that FNPF has a diversified investment base. When COVID-19 hit, there was no movement, restricted movements, no tourists were coming to Fiji. So what we did, we closed down the Westin Hotel, the Sheraton, and we renovated it. So during that period. And we could do that because there were other investments on this side that were picking up, which was data. You know, when you were not allowed to go, you were just talking to people, you know, via the digital modes. So our businesses on that side was picking up. So that's the benefit of being a member of FNPF, a diversified investment income base. And for us at FNPF, our first and foremost priority is the protection of members' funds. And that's why before we do any due diligence or any acquisition or investment, we go through a very rigorous process that's laid down in our investment portfolio statement. So I thought I'd just touch on that a bit so that you are aware. If you don't come to these sort of forums, then you don't know. No? You are owners in this. By your membership in FNPF, you are also owners of this investment base. And the footprint of FNPF is not only in Fiji, but now across the South Pacific. Okay?
Naka, Mr. Tiko Naivalu, a retiree, used to be a member of the FNPF. As you raised in the topics you just told us now, the assets of the FNPF. And you mentioned about the Vodafone, mostly owned by FNPF. In here, Taveuni, we just have a small hub, which the customers used to come there when ladies, young people, and older people, senior citizens, they always exposed to the sun and the rain when they are served there. As I'm councillors in the district, we've been asking Vodafone people to erect one good building to serve where they can have the service in Taveuni. Because all these electrical, EFL, and M-Paisa, is it possible if FNPF could have a proper building or for people to come in there instead of staying in the rain and the sun? Sir, that's a request.
Thank you for that question. We'll definitely take it to Vodafone and pass the message across. I think it's only fair for members to have proper shelter and be served in a convenient mode and not be exposed in rain and shine. In fact, one of the buildings that FNPF also owns in Suva is the Vodafone building. It's owned by all of you. They don't even own it. They rent it from all of you. So we'll we'll try to identify an investment opportunity here, and if, if it appeals and we are able to get a decent return, then we could very well be investing in Taveuni as well. But rest assured, we'll take the message across and pass it to the CEO of Vodafone.
You have asked the right question, because these two are directors of Vodafone.
We have another online question. Is there a member representative independent from employer organization on the FNPF board? And if not, when will that happen?
Thank you for that question. I think it's a very valid question. Recent talks have been to have raised by members as to why they don't have an employee representative on the FNPF board. I think if you look at the slide, the process now to appoint directors on FNPF board is a more rigorous one and a better competency-based appointment rather than affiliation-based. The directors at FNPF currently, they need to undergo a fit and proper test that is conducted by the Reserve Bank of Fiji. Our legislation states that a director on FNPF board needs to possess appropriate skills and expertise in one of those following areas, either investment management, corporate governance, accounting or auditing, finance and banking, risk management, law, IT or engineering discipline. The reason as to why we need this broad skill set to be held by directors is because FNPF, like what Alipate said, holds a diversified investment portfolio. So, we've got investment in banks, we've got investment in telcos, the likes of Fintel, Telecom, Vodafone. So we need our directors to have sufficient knowledge in those areas so that when they are sitting on those boards, the decisions that go past them, they are knowledgeable in those disciplines and not just be sitting there and passing all the papers or the board papers that's pushed by management, because they need to make the right decisions for the organization. That is the fiduciary responsibility of the director. The director sitting on FNPF board, they need to make sure the 8.7 billion portfolio that is held by FNPF, we invest in the right areas. We do not, there are many stories of super funds across the globe losing the hard-earned money of their members into bad investments. We don't want you to lose your hard-earned savings, because that's something that you look forward to whilst you're working, you're thinking about your retirement. We don't want a situation when you retire and FNPF says, we don't have money for you. So that's why we need our directors to be ethical, our directors to be knowledgeable in those particular areas, so that the decisions they make are in the best interest of the fund and for the members. Naka.
Just to add to that, the appointment of board members is a prerogative of the Minister for Finance. Yeah? So the Minister for Finance appointment is under the FNPF Act, which we've stated after the reform, that requires a competency set. But even then, either way, they can still use the old reform process, but the qualifier will still remain on the competency requirement, which is the skill set requirement.
Thank you. Can we get another question from the floor? Sendolo juga nangoni taro, indo juga namutaro tarong ramai. Online question? Sorry, we have one lady in the front here.
This question is in regards of housing assistance. What is the general eligibility for a member to have in his or her account in order to apply?
Sorry, what was the last part of your question?
What is the eligibility for a member to have in his account in order to apply housing assistance?
Thank you for that question. For all members, we have split your account into two. There's a general account portion and there's a preserved account portion. 30% of your general account is reserved for, you are limited to what you can withdraw, which is the grounds that we have mentioned, the approved grounds of withdrawals. Medical, education, housing, funeral, unemployment. But you specifically asked for your housing, Okay. So, your preserved account, the large part of your money is preserved for retirement, because that's the purpose of FNPF. So that's why 70% is there. So $1 comes in, 30 cents goes into the general account, 70 cents stays in your preserved account for every dollar that comes into the fund. But there is only one time when we allow members to access their preserved account is when they're building their house or purchasing a land for the first time. So what we will do, we will give you, in addition to that 30% that you can take 30% of the 70% in your preserved account. When you calculate what's 30% of 70%, that's 21%. So those of you that have always wanted your housing eligibility statement from FNPF, when that's how it's calculated. The 30% from your general account plus the 30% of the 70%, which equals 21%. So 21% plus the 30 is the 51% eligibility, housing eligibility that you have. And you can only access that one time for your first house. But going back to how much you should have, you know, if you have 1,000 or 2,000, you can't build, you can't build any house for that. So, but there's also what's called a small, under the housing scheme, there's a quick repairs, okay, which is limited to 5,000, but that's confined to your general account. If you want to paint, if you want to change the roof was broken. So if you've got enough money in your general account, you can apply for quick repairs, which is $5,000. But otherwise, to dip into the 70%, that's how it's worked out. Okay?
Thank you. The lady in the front.
Naka nadhango Paulini Serra au maramani udhoni vatu au leo ni member ni FNPF. Ndo tikungana bagatataro our Tori assistance kima me layoff nangona ni pandemic, so our receive takana assistance mana FNPF ya me ada batik wena singani po sanga tikngani takataka ndo tikungana bagatataro erawan you apply takana naka member leta naka nibuli na luvengu sese
Winak taro winak au sana song mandangani baka bitilyo na guys mga pertanya to the benefit of nanumu tatara na FNPF na baka tau sarachunga na dapat itu nanumu general account Yung tuwing ko beso mana na iduru-duru na iduru-duru kaya preserve 70-30 kaya kaya chiku na numilavo in a general account chiku na sa numilavo meso na iduru-duru yung na iduru-duru kwero ni bibu kina FNPF na iduru-duru ni form bitu lakodake pata nagtesheri kaya chiku na numilavo so no mila be bocho na general account no kwero ne bang tak kanga bina ka tina no invoice na invoice num revol ni sudu asatare o tenda na bibu keli se no no vol ni sudu no ne vol ni sudu no no que to na soma watonto no na institution FNU USP io mi chiko na ila o na general account e sinirao ni ke to tarama na ila o ni duru se na dabaga ni sa singin do na ila o general account me ke to tarama ni president account kamo na ngai watare kina preserve account na matay ngo no buli balik kina so buli kala mata mata ta yo chingora no le redir to ni to valis lesi Renda tu seliwi kona bel, tu na basal tegi kona dawe barani. I think the question that was asked was basically on the, no, she had been assisted during the pandemic, whether she can pay for, since she's still unemployed, she wanted to pay for the education of her children. The answer to that is yes, provided you've got enough funds in your general account. All you've got to bring in is your invoice from the institute and the birth certificate, your birth certificate, the member, and the sibling or the child. That's because the linkages is important too. So when you get that, we will pay directly to the institute. Nak.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of our question and answer session. At this juncture, I would like to acknowledge and thank the following: South Pacific Recordings for providing visual and sound, Boss Communication Agency for their live stream services, and the Fiji Association of the Deaf. I will now invite our CEO for his closing remarks, and then we will close with prayer. Naka.
Yo be tur tale tur tikini no binakango mo bar benakati kibni leu no mni ada romai ba leu ni si binani kua o ni na lesu ni otina na forum go ni sana listale kina ni na kilai le bunaka balatana ni tu bingarap. Again, I want to thank you sincerely for freeing your time today to come and attend. It's quite an important forum. It's a first for us in Taveuni. Just want to re-emphasize some of the key issues. One is the purpose of the fund. The purpose of the fund is stated in our Act. Act is the Bible of the fund. In Section 2, which states that we have to ensure that the members accumulate sufficient saving, that they will have sufficient income when they don't have a job or work. That is the main purpose of the fund. Again, re-emphasizing that FNPF is safe. I've stated that without hesitation. The reason we've said that our investment diversification is quite strong. You've noticed in 2022 was COVID. Just out of COVID, our performance was one of the best in the country, and even compared to other provident funds regionally and in the world. Our safety is also guaranteed through our investment holding. Well diversified, as I've stated. We are in the banking sector, we are in telecom, we are in the property market, we are on with bond market with government. So before, our holding for government was around 60% of our investment, way back 11 years or 15 years ago. Right now, our holding for government has come down to 42%. So we're coming out of government. Our reliance of government is becoming smaller than it compared to the way before. And one important issue too, for every member to understand, all government borrow from FNPF. Not only the government, that previous government, this government will borrow from FNPF, as other previous government. To run a government, you have to borrow funds. And to run a government, their borrowings depend on the amount of tax they pay and the balance they will borrow. And FNPF is an investor. So that is investment opportunity for us. I think the other important factor, I want to encourage members to register. One of our biggest holder of members' fund are farmers. So I want to encourage you, you can be the same. And I think that we've stated that from 6 years old, you can register your children. So if you register them early, they can accumulate it early. There's no other fund in the country as big as FNPF. It's the biggest in the country. Now our investment in the north, we don't have a footprint in the north, but we are coming. We'll be in Bonolevu probably in the next 5 years, if it's long or if sooner. But indirectly we are there. We're through telecommunication, we are with Vodafone, we are with THL, we are also with Fintel, so those are our major investment. We are with the bank as you have stated by our team, BSP, we are there. HFC is owned by FNPF. So I think as a member you should be proud that you are well represented. In one forum I mentioned about the importance of workers' fund. Briefly, I won't mention name. There was a two major deal that was happening in the market way back. We were in competition with a number of major fund also, trying to secure the investment. So the winning, I think the winning bid was through when we mentioned that we represent the workers of the country. And that's the reason, even though we were not the top bidder, we don't actually offer the highest. We will offer probably the third highest. But the seller was willing to sell to us for a reason. And I'm talking about two major investments. Again, the other two is, some of the members will notice now, SMS. So for any deposit that goes into account, there's a SMS message that has to come to you. And also the withdraw. So withdraw and deposit. Anything that happens in your account, you should get a message. There's an improvement in our service also. Again, I want to thank you sincerely for taking this time to be here. I wish you well on your journey back home. God bless.
Thank you, CEO. Final reminder to members, please complete your feedback form in your forum pack and hand it to our staff. And also our services are available outside, including card printing. We'll now close our forum with prayer. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we approach you once again to thank you. Thank you for your guidance with our program today. We thank you for the fruitful discussion we've had with our members, our pensioners, and our employers. As we return this afternoon, we ask you for travel's mercies. Please bless everyone present here today and those joining us online. We leave the rest of the day's activities in your hands, ourselves in your care, and this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again, and we wish you a safe and prosperous 2023. Naka.